The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And Mike.
And this is the Magic Show, episode 610. Mr. Somich.
Big old lead up to Breeders' Cup. Huzzah!
Yeah. As of a week from today, it'll be Breeders' Cup Future Stars Friday. It's crazy how fast it seemingly snuck up on us this year. At least that's how I felt. But, yeah, breakfast at the Breeders' Cup show began this morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Pacific, FanDuel TV and the FanDuel Racing YouTube channel, of which I am not a part of. So that's the last time I'm going to mention it.
No love for Magic. I got to say, I'm thinking about switching careers, Magic.
After be an NBA coach?
No, well, and that's a good gig if you can get it. After last week, and my talk about Keith Asmussen, he has gone on a like all-time heater. So I am now just putting it out there. If any jockey agents need a motivational speech, basically me bashing their jockey here on the Magic Mike Show, I'm up for some consulting gigs. I can't guarantee a turnaround like Keith Asmussen's, but holy buckets, Magic, he has been on fire at Keeneland since last week.
Yeah, he picked up a win yesterday. He had one mount, and he won it. He had a win 2 days ago. He had 2 wins on the 19th to close out the weekend racing. He had a win earlier in the day on Saturday when we covered that card. So, yeah, he's been on a nice one. And actually, shockingly, one of those wins came for a trainer not named Steve Asmussen.
He actually is the best ROI jockey now at Keeneland. after
it only
this
takes
stretch,
one.
After this stretch where he has won with like $2 $50. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the flip that we've seen. You've got like 2 Asmussens in a race. Ortiz is on the more pedigreed one, and Keith will be just running away from the field down the stretch. It's just been an unbelievable run for him. So hat tip to you, my friend. Well done. Don't mind being proven wrong. I wish I had a couple of them. I did not. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, and still a reminder that no matter win or lose, at the end of the day, it goes back home to Andy Biancone. So really, It's a win no matter what. So it doesn't work for everybody, because how many times do you bash Joel Rosario?
Yeah, he has not found his footing. Yeah,
Rosario bucks the bell curve, bucks the trend. Who is the worst jockey? Nick Sievers asks.
Oh man. You know, the first name that came to mind was Katie Davis, but that's not fair to Katie Davis because she does win on some bigger priced horses. Like she is a sneaky good one. You don't bet her when she's a favorite, but when she's on a bigger priced horse, she's a sneaky good one. Man, I don't know. I'd have to I'm thinking about the major tracks, right? So I'm like looking at the Keeneland jockeys right now.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I can sit and name a lot of bad ones at some really low-level tracks, because that's what I usually cover on FanDuel.
Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to think of like someone who I just avoid betting right now at Keeneland, and I don't have anyone that's on the complete shit list, although Keith Asmussen is back on the list because I didn't have him. So we'll see.
Looking through. Whoa, hi. You okay? Yeah. Somebody turned 6 months old and they're demanding to be on the show. 6 months old today. Yeah, I know. Crazy. And the hair gets redder with every day with Chloe. Le Peru, maybe?
Yeah, see, I don't have the same vehement hate for Le Peru that a lot of people do. Because like you gotta just kind of know how to use them, and you just gotta expect it. Man, I don't know. Maybe Corey Lannery makes the list. Maybe he's the number one now at Keeneland. Anyway. Well, I don't like bashing jockeys. See, that's the thing. Like I just noticed the win percentage. We'll just put it that way. Anyway, I don't love just openly bashing them.
Let's figure it out. Maybe throughout the show we can figure it out, because we've got another tough sequence at Keeneland on Saturday, October 25th. It's closing day for the fall meet. Can I talk, please? This is very rude of you. Late pick 5 is going to pay out, no carryover. The pick 6 is pay out, no carryover. And we've got 2 graded stakes races. You famously picked a Phil D'Amato horse to win the Grade 3 Bryant Station back in the day. No D'Amato runners, but I am curious to see how you're playing race 8 in this sequence. And 2 of the 5 scheduled for the Turfin card.
Yep. fun little sequence. We've got a interesting little 2-year-old stakes race to kick it off. We've got a fun little 3-year-old fillies race in the second leg that is absolutely more wide open than the morning line says. I think the Bryan Station is a fascinating race. Another one where the favorite sitting at 9-2. And then the last, we've got the Fayette as well, which is yuck. And then we've got the last here, which is the $110,000 maiden special weight, which I think is actually a very competitive race as well. So fun little sequence we're going to rip through here.
Let's dive into it. Late pick 5 on closing day at Keeneland, Saturday, October 25th. Rise up. Alrighty then. The Bowman Mill Stakes kicks off the late pick 5 at Keeneland, Saturday, October 25th. It's a 2-year-old sprint going 6 furlongs on the main track. Wesley Ward with not one but 2 runners in here. Neither of them the morning line favorite, though. That might change come post time. But right now, it is going to be the very fun named Spun DMC, the 5-horse. Who was your favorite? Where'd you go?
I'm going to single to kick it off here, mainly because if I went 2 or 3 deep, I'd be using a lot of the prices that are kind of involved in those, and I just didn't want to go in that direction. So give me the number 5, Spun DMC here. Top pick, 9-5 on the morning line. I'm hoping I actually get around 9-5 because of Hartley on the inside here, a ward horse for John Velasquez. The 3 outfielder, not a bad horse as well, but the Velasquez decided to go to the 1 instead of the 3 there. But yeah, the 5 Spun DMC top pick for me. This is a horse that was close to the pace last time out, but not necessarily on the lead in the early stretch of that. Was able to make a move around the far turn and just absolutely blew a field away. Don't love the fact the horse was 13-1 and now we're sitting at 9-5. A little worried about wedding funeral. But when I look through this, just to me, the fastest horse from that first race has as much right to improve as anybody else in this spot. And I like the fact that we are coming from just off of it as well, because there is a boatload of speed that is signed on in this race.
So here's my knock on the 5. That race has been trash since then. So let's look at the horses that ran back. Second place ran back, Buyer backwards. Third place ran back, Buyer backwards. Fourth place, Buyer backwards. Fifth place, sixth place, seventh place. The 6 horses who finished behind this horse regressed in their next start. And there might be wedding funeral. You're getting Irad aboard, which is fantastic. You've got the trainers, also the co-owner. But to me, that was a bad race if you look at everybody who's come out of there. So for me, it was a shot against. But I do think because of Hartley, you're not going to have the favorite here. So at least you're going to get a better price than I think 9-5.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I do think the 1 takes the most money here. A horse that was impressive going gate to wire. Keeneland going 6 furlongs, kind of just ran away from that field. Gonna face a little more pace pressure today.
Yeah.
And that was my main concern here with Hartley. If I went to a ward, I would actually go to the 3 outfielder, just because I think the price is going to be a lot better than the 1 Hartley, and you actually have some ability to come from off the pace, which makes a difference. Also, the horse that they decided to ship over to France to run in a Group 1 over there, which is awfully interesting to me. Ran 4th of 6 though, so it wasn't that great of a performance. I agree with you. I do think that all of the horses regressed off of that race, so I'm not going to knock your knock there on Spun DMC. However, I think that this was the horse that was just better than everybody too. And so I'm not going to just say, well, he's going to regress as well, just because the others did. The horse that wins is often not the one that regresses. It's the one that's run second or third simply because that buyer was uplifted by that first place horse that ran the big race. So I'm hoping I get 5-2. 2-1, somewhere in there on Spun DMC. If that's the case, I'm very happy. But because I would use 5-1, I'm not going to go ahead and single, or I'm not going to go ahead and use the 2 favorites and go too deep.
So I have the 1 on the ticket. I went too deep, but I didn't make the 1 the favorite. I think of the speed horses, he is the fastest, and I think it's notable that Velasquez is riding here when he was aboard the 3 for both of the U.S. starts. Both of them wins. One of them at Camp 3 is scratching. That makes me feel better about it. Okay, thank you. CSJ reporting that the 3 is going to scratch. The 3 is a better turf horse, I think. What broke the Maiden debut at Churchill. You said ran 4th of 6 in Group 1. The horse who was second, Gestad, is the heavy favorite pre-Breeders' Cup draw for the juvenile turf. That's an Aidan O'Brien horse that is
It's the heavy
easily
favorite
going.
name.
Yeah, Gestad. Yeah, he's going to be. Yeah, with Aiden. Aiden didn't send Puerto Rico. He just sent Gestad, and that was like, okay, Gestad's going to kill him. So he's a big favorite right now overseas betting. So that was a really good horse that you were a Group 1 race and you ran fourth to in France. It does make me feel better about using the 1 and not the 3 if the 3 is going to scratch. But I'm actually going to use the 6, Gallivant, as the top play in here. A son of Into Mischief out of Fancy Dress Party. She produced a horse named Tux, who I thought was a great draft pick for our fantasy team last year. And then he ran one absolutely horrible effort as a 3-year-old, and we haven't seen him since then. But the Dam, she won her first 4 starts. She won the Beaumont, she won the Glitter Woman Stakes. She was super fast, precocious as well. And I know this horse lost on debut, but he got an 89 buyer, which is better than what Spun DMC, your favorite, got. And if you look at the raw time for the race that happened there at Keeneland, and I'm comparing, like, you can't compare Keeneland Churchill Downs because Churchill a much faster dirt track right now. Gallivant ran that race in 1:10 and 3. You look at what Hartley ran on the same card, he went 1:11 and 2. You look at what the 3-horse ran on the same card at Keeneland, he went 1:11 and 1. Of those 3 horses, despite finishing third, the fastest horse that day that's running today at Keeneland in this race is the 6, Gallivant. Now, he can't try and go into gate to wire, but I'm hoping that maybe he can sit back a little bit. And the fact that they sent him here when you know there's plenty of maiden special weight races either at Keeneland or at Churchill Downs, which starts on Sunday. So many places they could have sent him, and they said, no, we're going here to this spot. I'm going to put the 6 on top and hope that I get a big price on him.
Yeah, I had the 6th and 3rd. I just, you're right. That is the fastest raw time. It was also the slowest half mile of the 3, and this horse was on the lead. Gonna be a different world on Saturday. They're gonna go a lot faster, and I am just not sure if Gallivant is going to be able to rate, because that to me is the key here. I think Hartley gets the lead, right? If Hartley gets the lead, all the other speed horses now have to change their game up. Spun DMC, the one who's been able to come from off the pace and just sit to the outside. So in a race where I think speed is going to be at a premium here, I do think that the 5 ends up with the best trip. I wouldn't be shocked if the 6 wins, but the 6 is going to need to be able to rate to be able to do so.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point about the half mile time being slow. I'm hoping that this horse was on the lead because he inherited it, because it was the slowest half mile of those 3 races, that he just kind of went there, but maybe he runs better. We'll find out if he's got a target, but he is going to have to learn to rate because he's not faster than the 1 early on unless the 1 stumbles. So an interesting renewal of the Bowman Mill Stakes kicks off the late pick 5 race 2. I thought was the trickiest race because it's 3-year-old fillies going a mile and 1/8, non-winners 2, allowance optional claiming, purse of $130,000, and you've got question marks on literally all 8 runners in here. So where'd you go on top?
Yeah, we're going a little price hunting in this spot, so I'm not going to use either of the top 2 choices here. After singling the favorite in the first leg, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna come with some prices here. We're gonna start with the number 8, who is not a price, but is your 3rd choice on the board. Yes, it is as my number 1 or top pick here. It's a horse that is lightly raced, had been mainly a turf horse, switches over to dirt, ran huge on the dirt, scratched today, so will be running in this race on Saturday. 'Tis the law. So we know there is some dirt pedigree here, but is more of a turf breeding considering we're coming out of a European mare. I thought that last race was actually very, very good. I realized you were running against turf horses, but that was over a good track. It's not like it was a sloppy track. And the horse handled it very, very well, was able to come from off the pace, has some tactical speed, which should be beneficial here. And I think it's the horse that has the most upside of anybody in here. Like, I'll make one more case for a couple other horses a little bit later, but to me, this is one of those upside horses of the top 3 that I think could actually improve. So I'll go to the 8. Yes, it is as my top pick in this spot.
Was a neck ahead of second, but second was 14 lengths clear. We'll round up and call it 14 lengths clear of third in that race. The second and third place horses ran back. The third place horse ran back on turf. The buyer went from 62 to 65, so that's fine. They put the second place horse on dirt. That did not go well at all. The horse regressed almost 20 buyer points, so not a good look. Can you hush? I am trying to talk. Regressed very badly in that spot. And I think it's just a horse that can get the distance, but I'm not so sure that dirt is going to be the best service. I think this is ultimately going to be a better turf horse. So I took a shot again. I had this horse fourth. I went price hunting like you did in here. I was hoping just to try to beat the 8. If we like to poop on jocks, if Flavien Prat was aboard instead of Florent Giroux, I'd probably use the 8. But I don't trust Giroux with the 8 horse there just because I don't really trust him at much short prices anywhere. I went with a total swing here as a top play. Look at the form of the two and tell me why she was privately purchased and put straight into a 1.125 race at Keeneland when she'd been running exclusively at Gulfstream Park in 8 starts this year, all at one turn. And then you look at the breeding and you go, well, Protonico, son of Giants Causeway, he's not known for having, outside of Medina Spirit, he's not known for having big star horses, but they could get the distance. And you look at the dam side, of the siblings that have gone routing, 12 of their 14 combined wins were routing. So comes from a route family overall. And then you look at some of those races, 7 furlongs at Gulfstream, second beat and a half length at a big price. And then the sheer drama stakes, third. Hall and Ice was second in that race. Hall and Ice came back to win the Princess Rooney next time out. We know how good Hall and Ice is in those 7 furlong sprints. And then you privately purchase the horse, give it to Mark Casse. Casse says, you know what? We're going to put this horse going 9 furlongs at Keeneland. Forget Gulfstream, which is infinitely easier this time of year than Keeneland. And oh, by the way, Jose Ortiz is going to ride the horse. It might be a complete and utter bomb of an attempt. I'm going to put the 2 on top because I think there's something here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tea leaf horse where you're just kind of deciding, okay, how am I going to figure out like what this to expect from this horse? Because I'll tell you this much. I do not think based on the current form that we have seen, this horse does not deserve to be in this race. Now, that's what makes the horse interesting. And I think that's to your point where it's like, well, why in the world is this horse here?
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like the distance shouldn't be an issue. The price was the problem for me. Like, 6 to 1.
Oh, she's going to go up. She's going to go up from 6 to 1.
Well, if she doesn't, she probably wins this by 5 lengths. Because if this horse goes off at 6 to 1, it's an official they knew horse, right? Because she was 40 to 1 in the Princess Rooney. She's been under 10 to 1 once in her career. That was in a $75,000 overnight stakes where she ran 6, lost by 25 lengths. So I just can't at the current number. And if she wins, I like I said, I won't be shocked. I don't love the 1. I don't love the 6. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to go to the outside of her as my second pick here. Sweet Seraphine, 10 to 1 on the morning line. This is a 3 horse for Cherie DeVoe. Tyler Gaffalione jumps aboard here. This is a horse that was competitive. I thought first off ran well at Ellis on debut. 2 next out winners came from that race. Comes back, wins at Churchill Downs going a mile, steps forward to a stakes race over at Backwaduck, wins that as well with the Ortiz brothers riding in both those spots. Goes to Parks, doesn't run great. I'm kind of fine with that. It's Parks. It's not a spot where I'm like overly worried. Also drew the rail, which I don't think was the best spot for this horse. And I think that affected Sweet Seraphine as well. That 1.70 at Parks is a really funky configuration if you're a horse on the rail with no speed, because the turn comes fast and then all of a sudden you're losing ground. You're getting kicked back. Just not great. So I'm willing to excuse that effort. Now we jump in here and enter in a 1 1/8 race, a distance this horse should absolutely appreciate. Quality Road filly out of a Bernardini mare, cost $900,000. So a lot of expectations for this filly. I think the 3 has the opportunity to take a step forward. And honestly, the Wilton probably good enough to win this. Like, there's not that much in here. A repeat of that effort puts Sweet Seraphine right in the mix. So 3 Sweet Seraphine 10 to 1, second horse on the ticket for me.
So we agreed on our second and third choices. We just agreed on our top picks, and we both said, "Hey, top pick not impossible." We just went elsewhere. A big reason she sold for $900,000. Her older sister, Moonlight Dioro, who won 2 big races going into her early in her 3-year-old campaign, got hurt after winning the Las Virgenes, looking like a filly that could win the Kentucky Oaks. And then she was never the same after she came back from that. She had some good efforts, but she never quite returned to form. I think the injury just kind of messed her up. But showing with that bloodline, routing on dirt, going to 1 1/8 here, I think helps. And I think he nailed it with the Catherine Sophia. She just didn't like the rail. Let's also not forget that the horse that romped that day, Dry Powder, almost won the cotillion out of that, finished second by a neck, and then Dry Powder was the very first horse to show up at Del Mar because she's in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. So, yeah, pretty good horse that you didn't really run your best effort, but also a field of 13, Mike, she beat 7 of them home. Like, there was not a bad spot either. But we also both like the horse that's in this race that finished ahead of her, and that's the 4 Disco Rules. I dropped off the 6 Paris Lily because I kept looking at her going, God, there's just what the only reason she's favored is because she's got a pace advantage, I think. But I don't think that mile and 1/8 is good for her. I think, as you do, the 4 will like the mile and 1/8.
Yeah, I like Disco Rules quite a bit here. First off, like Riley Mott, he's been very successful at Keeneland, 25% with a limited number of starters, just 12 starts, got 3 wins and a second. This is a Constitution horse out of Purse Prize Mare, another like good breeding for the distance that we're considering here. I think there's like, to me, the big difference in this race, and you mentioned it, is the fact we're going to mile and 1/8. If we're going to mile and 16th, I'd probably have Paris Lily on top. Because the speed edge at that distance at Keeneland is a little bit too much to overcome. A mile and 1/8, it is not as big of an advantage, right? Because it's that full stretch at Keeneland versus the short stretch that you're going to see. She's got to be better than what she's been to be able to win this race. Now, totally could do that, right? Has a break after a pretty daunting campaign that she ran early in her 3-year-old career. Now it's late 3-year-old. Maybe she gets better. Maybe she adds some stamina, but she's quitting at a mile and 16th. Her 2 best races were over the slop. I don't think you can ignore that either. So, yeah, I think this is a spot where you get around the 6, and the 4 is one who has tactical speed and has the ability to close as well. I think this the 4 is live here at 8-1. So Disco Rules, these 3rd horse and final horse on my ticket. Also, just want to throw it out there. Like, I think the 2 might be going in this race. Coming out of sprints. Yeah. I think the 2 may press the 6 more than you necessarily expect. Now, the only knock is it's the Ortiz brothers. So we could get some shenanigans with the pace. But I do think the 2 has enough speed to at least make the 6's life a little more difficult in the first furlong.
What's interesting, the point you made about the Ortiz brothers and shenanigans, not that I'm not thinking that they would collude, but the fact that there's some people you'll talk to and they say the 2 of them work together to try and set it up for each other. I've talked to a few trainers who hate when the Ortiz brothers are in the same race because they try to beat each other up. Like they're playing games against each other at the downfall of the betting public and the connections. Now, I don't know either one's true, but there is very much a mystique around the Ortiz brothers. And if they have 2 horses that might, I agree that I think the 2 is going to be forwardly placed. If you look at her best races, when she won going 6, when she won going 7, and when she was second by a half length going 7 in a stakes race, she was close to the pace in all of those. When she's farther back early is when she struggles. So I think, that she goes. We talked about why we don't like the 6. We think that she's, quitting at a mile and 16th. It's not going to be sloppy. What about the 1? For me, she peaked at the end of her 2-year-old campaign, and she never really took a step forward as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, she hasn't gotten better. It's really that simple to me. What race wins this? There isn't one. And she's 3-1. So you have to assume that a horse that hasn't improved in a year is going to improve. It's second off the layoff, late 3-year-old season. You could argue that this could be an improvement spot, but you know what else could have been an improvement spot? Second off the layoff is a 3-year-old early in the season. Third off the layoff. Yeah. Didn't improve. Didn't get better. There's only one once this year. That was at Prairie Meadows. Shout out Aaron Helterman. Loves some Prairie Meadows. But like that, I just don't see the race. And so, like, am I going to assume the one's just going to magically get better at 3-1? No, thanks. Like, that's just one that I'm willing to let beat me.
I mean, the horse that the Prairie Meadows the Iowa Oaks race was interesting because the horse who she caught late to win by a nose, first of all, if you win the Iowa Oaks by a nose, you're not winning a mile and 1/8 allowance at Keeneland. Sorry. But that horse was an Iowa bred who was pure speed, who had a 6-length lead at the top of the stretch and got caught. And nobody else in that race was good enough to be anywhere close to her. But out of that, she returned to state bred company going a mile and 16th at Prairie Meadows. She finished 5th, beating 20.5 lengths.
Yeah, not great.
So not great. Like couldn't beat, like the horse that you barely caught couldn't beat Iowa breds as the 1-2 favorite. So just a lot of signs about that horse.
Two efforts at a mile and 1/8 finished combined 20 or 30 lengths behind in those 2 races.
From a pseudo stakes race, we move on to the first of 2 stakes races. Race 8 is the Grade 3 Bryan Station, going a mile on the turf. This one for 3-year-old males, as you'd expect on the turf at Keeneland stakes race, especially age restricted. Overdrawn, 12 entries plus 3 also eligibles. Where'd you go on top here?
Give me the number 10, Simulate here. Going back to the well on this one. 8-1 on the morning line. Bill Mott trainee. Irad Ortiz jumps aboard here. Just draw a line through the Nashville Derby at Kentucky Downs. That was an absolute mess of a race. This horse was going too far. The horse didn't like the track. The horse was too far back. There's like 4 or 5 different excuses that you can run out with the number 10 here. I am surprised this horse is 8-1 as well. I don't think we get 8-1. Just throwing it out there. Probably not 8-1 as the off odds. But that race 2 back I thought was really good in the Secretariat. Had early trouble in that race, surged up and ended up just missing to Giacoso as the favorite in that spot. It was 2-1. I think that this is a horse that has upside that we've not seen the best of yet. And I think that the hopefully last race improves the price enough here that this one is playable. Should get pace to chase. Really hard to go gate to wire right now on the Keeneland turf. And that also sets up well for Stimulate here, who's in the right spot to be able to win the race based on the race flow.
What happened after last week? Last week you were saying that speed on turf at Keeneland is what you want, and you used that because you had Theismann as your top play, and you went gate to wire. So you're telling me everything's changed at Keeneland now?
Well, it's funny. It rained.
Oh,
and like
that's right. They did get rain.
Yeah, and like this is one of those things we talk about it at Saratoga. Like the nice part about California, you don't get rain, so the turf course doesn't drastically adjust. It's wear, right? The wear on the turf course changes how it plays, not necessarily the weather. We saw a rainstorm come through Keeneland, and you had horses who went slow up front and could not finish. And you still want to be close. You don't want to be like forever back, but gate to wire is very difficult right now at Keeneland.
I did use the 10. I went 4 deep in here, and the 10 was the last horse I put on. I was worried about the post. I'm hoping I'll feel better about the 10 if there's at least one scratch to his inside. I just don't want to take that horse from the outside. But the top play for me, just 2 posts to his inside, is the 8 Tenacious Leader at 12-1.
Did we lose Magic? No, I think we lost me. I'm back.
Oh, okay.
No, I lost me.
Oh, yeah. I heard you say we lost Magic, so I didn't. Anyways, the 8 Tenacious Leader for me is the top play. I don't know if the odds in this are going to be very interesting because I don't think we get 8-1 on Simulate. I don't think
so we're not getting 8. Yeah, 12-1 is crazy.
Yeah. But also, like, look at it. Look at the record that this horse has. Breaks the Maiden. The second start as a 2-year-old in August at Saratoga. It's an off-turf race, but was good. Went to the Grade 3 with anticipation. Just barely lost to Zulu Kingdom, who then won the Grade 2 Pilgrim next out, went to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. And then from there, the Breeders' Futurity, you tried the dirt race. It was a big Grade 1. You kind of like take a swing. You know you've got to win on dirt. You've got almost a win on turf. What do we have under the hood? Do we have a Derby Trail prospect? No, you don't. In fact, you have a horse that's going to miss 364 days, returns at Keeneland on the turf in a very tough older horse allowance, post 9, sits a nice stalking trip, gets the win with Johnny V. Second off the layoff, now facing straight 3-year-olds. I know it's a stakes race, but this horse just 20 days ago, it'll be 3 weeks when they run, came back and won, and with a career best effort. Any improvement from there is going to be big. And oh, by the way, did you know that coming into this week, this is a nod to Caleb Keller, our good friend and my colleague, a Not This Time horse has won every turf stakes race at Keeneland and has never been finished in front of by another horse that wasn't by Not This Time. So if there's 2 Not This Times in a race at Keeneland that's a turf stakes, they finished 1-2. It's wild.
I've got bad news for you. Not This Time is just stunting all over this race. I don't know if you went through it. The 1.
There's too many Not This Times. He's not going to finish 1 through 5.
Not This Time. The 4, Not This Time. The 5, Not This Time. The 6, Not This Time. The 8, Not This Time. The 9, Not This Time. Like, it is absurd how many Not This Time horses are in this field.
It's amazing he still had any fluids left with how much he's just, as you said, stunting all over the field.
I mean, it is ridiculous.
Anyway, so we agreed on that horse. Where was your next one? Who's your third choice?
Jesus, that's the 6th horse just won at Keeneland. Just a horse missed the break and just ran huge. All right. So yeah, we're going 10-8. So the 3 Antisocial, my third horse on here. 12-1 on the morning line. this is one of those where it's worse off by not this time, so that's good. Ran third in the Secretariat behind Gina Coso and Simulate. Top pick, obviously, for me was Simulate. You got Antisocial, who ran one head behind him in that race. Goes to the Franklin Templeton over at Kentucky Downs, and I thought ran a really good fourth that day. Rosario gave it a weird ride. It was a dead closing ride, which obviously we know doesn't work out all that great over there at Kentucky Downs. This is a Jorge Duarte Jr. trainee. I love Jorge Duarte Jr. Like, just have a soft spot in my heart for this guy because he only trains for Colts Next, but generally shows up well with bigger, with better horses in these type of spots. The fact that we're going back into stakes tells you what they think of this horse. I think a mile is perfect. I think the post draw is perfect here, sitting in the 3 spots. You get a nice stalking trip, the exact type of trip that this horse wants. I think you can point toward logical improvement here. Very well bred for this. Obviously not this time on the top, but the bottom here, Runaway and Hide as well, I think is a positive. So all systems go on the 3 Antisocial. Oh, by the way, you get size aboard as well, which I think is another positive here. Rosario off onto size, a good thing for me.
I left him off in favor of the 10. I did really like in the Franklin Simpson that this horse actually showed he would pass a bunch of them. Like, he had not just passed horses, but gained ground. He went from 6.5 lengths back to 2 lengths back. His races going a mile, I'm like, he's close. He's tractable. He's very, like, doesn't need the lead, but he runs better usually when he's on the front end. The buyers are going up. I think he's an underneath horse. I think that he's good enough to hit the board. I just think that with the way the trip will play out and everything else, that he's not going to win. Here's an odd stat. Jorge Duarte Jr. has never won a graded stakes race. And you think, I mean, I'm with you. Like, he's a great trainer, private trainer for Colts Next Stables. He is 0 for 11 in his career in graded stakes races. So a small sample size, but it's just, that's something that sticks out to me as bizarre. I'm like, you would have thought by now he would have had at least one graded stakes race win, right? No, not yet.
What's the second and third in that 0 for 11?
I just closed it out. I'm pulling it back up. He's 4 for 11 in the money.
Okay, so that's actually pretty good when you look at it that way.
Yeah,
I mean, you're in the money.
With, one of those in the monies was this horse.
Yeah, and he also ran 4th in a grade 1 with this horse. So
yeah.
I mean, small sample size doesn't bother me in that case, because you're just not going to have that many, because you're training for one specific bar in Colts Neck. I mean, you're not going to just end up with that many horses that are going to be in this spot. I will say, not been as good this year as he was last year, but we'll see if this horse can change it up. Last horse on for me, I did use the 12 horse here. Salamis, who is going to take some money. This is a Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt horse that looked awesome in the last 2 races. Looked very good, breaking the maiden at Saratoga. Took a nice step forward in the Giaponti. I think it's a logical horse. I think it's a better version of Giacoso, who's your favorite on the morning line. Who knows who goes off as a favorite in this race? Very contentious, 9-2 morning line there. So 12 horse, the last one on for me. I do want to mention. Well, I should check your ticket. Did you use this horse? No, you didn't. I do want to mention the 6, Dream On.
Okay.
Because the 6 is 20-1 and was the last horse off the ticket for me. So if I could have shortened another race, I would have added the 6 Dream On, who has been a shorter price in the last couple races, and I think has the opportunity to be able to sit a very good trip here. One knock for me is the wins all come with smaller fields, which was my biggest concern on this horse. But a horse that was super talented and was a short price in the Secretariat, and now you're getting 20-1, I think is interesting.
The 6, I thought, again, another one that may be underneath. I don't know if it's good enough to win this race, but I think, especially looking for a big bomb price, it's not this time on the turf at Keeneland. One of, I think, 65 in this race. The 12, I really thought this horse was going to go favorite. I don't think 6-1 is anywhere close to what you get, because it's Pratt, Chad Brown. You're riding a 2-race win streak, including a stakes race. And you also have an older sibling who was just second, beaten a neck, Segesta, in the grade 1 First Lady here on October 4th for the same exact connections.
All right. So I'll use the 6 instead of 12.
Okay. I'm not trying to talk you off the 12. I think that the post is what scared me away from the 12. There's a lot of talent, but
if you think the 12 is going to be the favorite, I don't have any interest. That's the thing. Like, if we think the 12 is going to be bet to that point, then I'm good. Yeah, I'll use the 6 instead of 12.
I did use the 9 Giacoso, who is, as you mentioned, the 92 morning line favorite. I don't think that holds, but I've just been impressed with this horse's turf route races. And you go back to, I know it's Keith DeSormo. If he's got a 2-year-old with 4 legs, he's kind of like the poor man's coach, where he'll just throw him in there and see what sticks. But he was good enough to win an allowance race on the turf, going 2 turns as a 2-year-old at Churchill, to do it at Ellis Park. As a 3-year-old, they got a little Derby fever. Risen Star didn't work out. Jeff Ruby didn't work out. He went to the Grade 1 American Turf on Derby Day, and I know he was 5th, beaten 4 lengths, but he was 11th at one point in that race in a field of 14. And it's been a very productive race. Zulu Kingdom, Test Score, the top 2 finishers came back to win next out. Giacoso came back to win. It was the Grade 2 Secretariat over Simulate, over Antisocial. Last out in the Gun Runner, he had the lead, lost it late. I'm going to blame that being Kentucky Downs, where it's just funky, but he still got second there. So he's going to be a shorter price. I don't think he'll be the favorite, but I did put the 9 on the ticket. And then I also threw the 5 on. I wasn't sure what to do about Final Gambit, but just the fact that he is a dead stone closer and has run admirably against much tougher horses. I mean, the Nashville Derby, that was a, $3 million race, $2 million race. The Saratoga Derby, Grade 1 race. The Belmont Derby, Grade 1 race. Before that, he was 4th in the Kentucky Derby. He won the Jeff Ruby as a dead closer. If he gets the pace set up, you know what he's going to do. He's going to drop back and try to come with a big run. And if it's playing to closers, that sets up for a horse like Final Gambit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not playing to deep closers. The problem with Final Gambit for me is the mile. Like, if this was a 1 1/8,
yeah,
you could talk me into it. A mile is too short for this horse with on the turf, on this turf. Like, I can't with Final Gambit. I love Final Gambit. Really appreciate him running 4th in the Kentucky Derby. But not a horse that I think at a mile is well suited to take on this level of turf horses.
The penultimate race at Keeneland on Saturday, October 25th, race 9, the Grade 3 Hagyard Fayette Stakes, 1 1/8 for 3-year-olds and up, and oof.
Yeah.
That's all I can say
well
about
put.
this one. Oh, goodness. Where'd you go?
Top pick for me, and this is funny because Aaron and I covered this on VSiN at the track on Thursday, this race, and I always pick Rattle and Roll. His top pick was Rattle and Roll in this race. He always picks Hit Show. My top pick is Hit Show in this spot. I'm going to go to the outside, to the 11, and take Hit Show on top. I hate this race. I want to go at least a little bit of a price, so 6-1 for me on Hit Show on the outside. I don't love the draw. I do think this is just basically the most talented horse. I've got no interest in the number 3 Bracket Buster. If that horse wins, congratulations. Good job on you, Bracket Buster. But no interest at all for me there. I'm going to go to the older horse, who I think is talented in this spot. Has run well at Keeneland, 2 for 2, 4 for 11 at the distance. Gets Irad Ortiz aboard and Flow off. I think that is a positive as well. Multiple races you can point back that are good enough to be able to win this spot. I'm wondering if we actually get back to being a little bit better version of Hit Show now that we're 4 off that trip over to Maiden. So give me the number 11 Hit Show, 6-1 on top in a race that is gross.
I went too deep. That was my second choice. I hated doing it. But here's what convinced me to use him. He won the Dubai World Cup, which didn't make any sense. Forever Young. It was there. If you watch all the horses that ran in Saudi and then went to Maiden, they all regressed. Nobody ran well. Romantic Warrior and Forever Young, I think, were the only 2 that were able to even hit the board. Straight No Chaser was just an absolute no-show there. The Grade 1 Stephen Foster, maybe 2.5 months back, was too quick for him. Also a race that very productive. Mindframe, Sierra Leone, they're both going to the Breeders' Cup Classic. First Mission did what First Mission does, which is kind of hit the board in those spots. But it's a 6-horse field. He's a closer. Out of that, went to Mountaineer, a race that he should have won, and he won it. Now, Mountaineer is a quirky track. He only won it by a head, but you mentioned a big key. We're off that jockey, and we're on to Irad Ortiz Jr. And if you give me Irad on a closer, I'm very interested. I'm very, very interested there, because he's one of those jockeys that I swear, I haven't heard him say this, but I swear it's an ego thing where he wants to take a horse back and show you how good he is by passing you in the stretch. So I used him, and for the first and maybe hopefully last time I ever do this, I put Rattle and Roll on top. I went 6-11 and I went too deep, and I just was like, oh, I hate this race so much. But they're both horses that have run really well on the Keeneland dirt. They love the 1 1/8 distance, and neither of them are going to be close to the favorite.
Yeah, I didn't use Rattle and Roll, so the Rattle and Roll is going to win this race. So I get, like, again, the 6 and the 11, the case is a lot. So it's very similar, where you're saying, hey, it's the better older horse. We're getting back to a field that is not world beaters, and we're getting a track that we like. So I get why you use the 6. I use the 10 Gosker as my second choice. Hey, this is the 3-year-old I have interest in, and I realized last time out at Parks wasn't what you'd wanted. The Haskell was good. I thought that the Preakness was good. If there's a 3-year-old that wins this race, I think it is Gosker, and I think he gets a pretty good trip here sitting outside the speed. And then I'm going to use the 5 Moonlight at 8-1 as well. Second off the layoff for Chris Block here. This is a horse that just keeps getting better. And I realize we're stepping up into Stakes Company. This is a pretty soft spot to step up into Stakes Company here. Now you're getting second off the layoff, second later in the 4-year-old season. If there's a horse that jumps up, I think it's the 5 Moonlight. So 5, 10, 11 for me. Not overly excited about this one, Magic.
Yeah. My knock on the 5 Moonlight, because I kept going back, I kept trying to make a case for it. I might be reading too much into it. Look at his races without Lasix. 2 back, horrible. Back in 2024 with Pletcher American Derby, horrible. 2 races before that, horrible. Like, there's so many spots where he runs with Lasix and he runs well, and then you give him Stakes Company and no Lasix and he doesn't run nearly as well. Now, again, I might be reading too much into that. He did come off of a career best effort last out. It's good to see Gaffley on sides with him. The Lasix, the no Lasix issue is really what left me off the 5.
Yeah, I'm not as big of a Lasix person. Like we've had this conversation before on the show before, where I'm not as concerned about that as you are. So that's not something that jumps out to me. I want a horse with an upside. I was between the 5 and the 1 as my third horse on the ticket. Lambeth on the Rail was the other one that I was like, well, maybe that horse is interesting. Who's not been going a lot longer over the last couple races, and now we're cutting back. The mile last time, but prior to that, 1 3/4, 1 3/8, 1.5 miles. Now we're cutting down to 1.125 miles. I do think that's actually better for this horse. So we'll see what happens with Lambeth on the Rail. That was my 4th horse on, but I ended up 5, 10, 11 here.
It feels like, because he does so well with those marathon distances, are they not doing the Breeders' Cup Marathon race anymore? I can't remember if that's on the undercard, if they got rid of it. If they got rid of it, it makes sense that Lambeth is here. Otherwise, I'm like, why wouldn't you put him in a marathon race on the Breeders' Cup undercard? But maybe it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, they did. It's not like so they had a marathon race, I want to say last year, that was on the Saturday.
It's like the Thoroughbred aftercare system, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't called the Breeders' Cup Marathon, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, he could do it. I think it's interesting that the 4 Dilger loses Irad to Hit Show, and he's never ridden Hit Show before. Tyler Gaffleone rides for Safi a lot. He sticks with the 5. Pratt picks it up, but it's like I don't see a race from the 4 horse that wins this when he struggles to finish the job going a mile. How is he going to finish the job going an extra furlong?
And the 4 and the 9 are not great for each other, because like Dragoon Guard is going to want to go, Dilger's going to want to go. Like those two they're going to create problems for each other, and it makes it easy for me to leave both of them off.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Dragoon Guard, huge fan of him last year. But I know what he is, and he's a horse that needs everything his own way. And when he faces competition that lets him do that, he wins. And when he faces competition that doesn't, he gets beat. I kept going back and forth on Gosker, Mike. My concern, and I hope this isn't the case because I think he's a really great horse and want to see him as a 4-year-old. I'm worried that he got cooked. That the Haskell, the Preakness, those near losses to journalism completely cooked him going into the Pennsylvania Derby, because he just never visually looked the same in the Pennsylvania Derby. So if he bounces back with a good effort, I'll be happy for him and the connections, because I do really like the horse and the connections. Just I was a little worried that he got cooked and needs some time off.
Look, Parks is going to park sometimes, right?
That's very true.
I mean, like that. And so it's we talked about Kentucky Derby and how you handicap all that. Parks is one of those hit or miss tracks where some horses just don't like it. I mean, look at who's the Barnes. Look at Barnes, who you were like, that race was too bad to believe, and then he airs at Keeneland the next time out. Like, there's just some horses that don't like Parks, and you just kind of have to throw those races out occasionally.
God, I was so mad about that. I wanted to throw something at the wall about Barnes. I was like, I hate. And then that immediately just turned to like disgust. I was like, congratulations, a horse that cost $3 million just won a grade 3 race at Keeneland at the end of the 3-year-old campaign, and that's what you can hang your hat on. Congratulations. Yep. Go pound sand. The final race at Keeneland on Saturday, October 25th. The final race at Keeneland in all of 2025 is a maiden special weight 2-year-old on turf going 1 mile and an eighth. It's overdrawn with 3 also eligibles, but amongst the field of 12, Mike, who you got on top?
Well, I totally wrote this down wrong. I have the 6, Triton, on top here, 10-1 for Danny Gargan. Luis Saez aboard. Joel Rosario off in what was a very interesting first effort on the turf. Don't love how this horse was handled, but kind of taken back. Drew the rail. I think that rail was a little bit tough for the horse that day. Now we're getting a little bit better post and mid-pack. I think it's going to set up well so that we're not having to deal with all of the kind of craziness that happened. They went very slow, 24-4, 49-4 to the half mile. They went 114-3 and then flew home. And this horse was closing on the outside in that race. Second start maiden special weight, 28% winners, $2.92 flat ROI. Gargan also very good with 2-year-olds with 206 flat ROI. Saez gets aboard. I think this horse might have more speed than we expect. This is second time out. I think you might see some improvement. I like the price of 10-1. Give me the number 6, Triton, on top, even though in the ticket I put 10. But that was because the horse was 10-1. So number 6 for me, Triton on top.
Makes a lot more sense.
Do you do that too?
I finally have gotten better about it from constantly being on air because I used to make that mistake all the time, especially on this show. Yeah, no shame there. I did use the 6, not the top play. I have him second, and I went 3 deep in here. But everything that you said, I agree with. I think the horse has a ton of talent. I put the 4 Wargamer on top, and you probably shouldn't be that surprised because it's me and it's Brendan Walsh and Tyler Gaffleone on turf. I'm going to use them, but for a reason. When Brendan Walsh uses Tyler Gaffleone on first-time starters, how about 5 for 16? How about 11 for 16 in the exacta? That's just
pretty good,
bonkers. That's darn good. The horse is debuting at 1 mile. We talk about it a lot. It's hard for horses to win first out going 1 mile. But Brendan Walsh has kind of figured that out, and he's 15% doing that with a really nice ROI. So I put the 4 on top. I think that, beautifully bred, a son of the late, great Wooten Bassett out of a Master Craftsman mare. So many things to like about this horse coming first out. It is a tough spot. But, again, Brendan Walsh could have saved for a different spot. They're throwing him right into the deep end right away. I love the face, so I put the 4 on top at 6-1.
Yeah, Sire, Wooten Bassett, 18%. So second pick for me was the 4. So I'm right there with you. Sire, 18% for first-time starters, 16% for all turf horses. The barn is 7 for the last 32 when debuting long on the turf at Keeneland, Churchill Downs, and Kentucky Downs, which includes winners of $18, $22, and $29. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, 4, Wargamer, second pick for me. Third pick for me, the 11, Surfer's Joy here, Pratt and Brendan Walsh, the other Walsh, or I guess really the first Walsh and the second one's the other Walsh. I don't know. They're both 6-1. So you can figure it out. Kitten's Joy horse out of Congrats Mayor, not as regally bred, but one that Flavian Pratt does decide to jump aboard here. I like the 6 and 4 lot. I decided to go 4 deep here because I do like a couple other first-time starters. The horses worked pretty well. Pratt and Walsh have been pretty good, 24% but the positive ROI doesn't exist there. We already talked about Walsh's first-time starter stats, first time going 1 mile on turf, all those things very good, having a good meet. I don't want to get beat by the other Walsh if I like the 4 quite a bit.
If there's a scratch of my top 3, I'll put the 11 on. The post kind of worried me, and also looking at the Dams family, there's just no turf pedigree there. Now, being a son of Kitten's Joy, you understand why the horse is going to be here. I liked the 4 better. I'm worried about the post and the pedigree there. I went 3 deep. I put the number 1 Chambersville in third, 7-2. You got Irad on a horse that's coming in off of a really close second place finish by a nose at Aqueduct, going 1 mile and 16th. The breeding's there. It's by Twirling Candy out of a Giants Causeway mare. You're going to get a short price because that horse came so close to breaking the maiden. It already what was a short price, and now you're getting first time Irad. But I didn't want to get through some of those other races where we're trying to beat the favorite in the Fayette, trying to beat the favorite in race 7, the Bryan Station. Who knows who the hell is going to be the favorite, but hopefully I can beat the favorite there. I didn't want to get beat by this one and be able to look at it and go, Yeah, it made sense. I just got a little too creative for my own good there. So I put the 1 on as my last horse here.
I used the 1 as well. The 1 was cross-centered today in race number 5 at Belmont at the Big A. Was on the AE list and did not draw in. So I would expect the 1 is going to run here. I was actually a little worried the 1 wouldn't run because we've been working at Belmont. So we'll see. We'll see if the 1 runs. If the 1 does, that's the 4th horse on for me. All the reasons Magic said. Don't love, like, right? If you just want to go 4-6 here, I don't hate it. I'll just put it that way. If you want to spread and try and create a monster ticket by using the 4 and the 6 only in this one, I don't disagree with that strategy.
I guess that's
which changed it up.
A great point about him maybe staying at Belmont. I hadn't thought about, even though he did scratch from the race.
I mean, he worked there 10 days ago.
Yeah. So what are the chances Kenny brought him down?
I mean, especially since he was entered today. I don't know.
Wouldn't you think, though, that getting Irad to commit to it when it's Irad and he could ride most of these horses for someone and they'd be thrilled over who they currently have? Like, wouldn't you think that Irad being named was a sign that when they saw they're on the also eligible there, they're like, hey, we're not going to run a Belmont. We're going to run at Keeneland. Let's get Irad.
You would think so. And I would say the 1 positive as well. The 1 scratched in that race, so the 13 technically could have drawn in.
Yeah.
So they're like, you did have the option to run in that race if the horse was there. Now it doesn't say why the horse was scratched. Like, let me rephrase that. It says why the horse was scratched. It says trainer. It's nondescript, right? So you don't know, like, shipping to Kentucky. Like, that would be kind of nice. So we'll see what happens here. It just says reason scratched, reason also changed to also eligible. So no real information.
So I'm 146, and you talked about the 11 as well. The 1 I didn't use that I was curious about, but I would have liked better to price is the 8 leverage. The blinkers are going on after finishing second at Laurel. It's Grand Motion. He does really well with horses just in general. You get John Velasquez to ride, but I think the blinkers are going on because he blew the turn at Laurel. Like, if you watch that was a race where he wasn't cornering very well, and I think that's why the blinkers go on. The effort 2 back at Kentucky Downs, I don't know how much of the trip trouble that really was versus just a horse that kind of ran in place. So I think this is too big of a swing coming from Laurel to Keeneland and only getting 5-1 on him.
Yeah, price is wrong, right? That's the main issue. The horse that I actually looked at for a while was a 12 Epic Horsepower, who ran at Ellis, finished second by a neck, and then the winner, or 3rd place winner of that race, came back and won at Kentucky Downs. Kentucky Downs trip was a little bit of a mess out of the A post for him, but this is a horse by Not This Time that sold for $370,000. We've harped on Not This Time, specifically on this Keeneland turf course. One that I think you should at least consider, but the post is the problem for me. I just don't like coming from all the way on the outside there, and we'll see how many scratches we get, but that post I think is going to be an issue.
His older sister broke her maiden yesterday on Thursday at Keeneland for Brendan Walsh and Tyler Gaffleone. So let's see if the dam can produce 2 winners at Keeneland in 1 week. Going to be pretty special. But that's how we saw the pick 5 at Keeneland. Anybody else you want to talk about?
No, I'm good. Was it a full sister or half sister?
Half sister by War of Will.
Okay, yeah, just interested in Not This Time.
Yeah.
All right, let's rip through the tickets, and we got to answer Penn State Scott's question because I don't know what the answer is yet.
We'll read out our tickets one last time. Thanks for listening, blah, 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 the usual spiel. It's been 610 episodes. You understand how this all goes. We'll read out our tickets. I'm going to start going. Wait, hold on. Something's not right here. That's what's wrong. Mine's not 90, mine's 70, but I've got too many horses in one race here.
I'll start it off then. I've got a 50-cent ticket here. I'm going to use the 5 with the 3, 4, 8, with the 3, 6, 8, 10, with the 10, 5, 10, 11, with 1, 4, 6, 11. That'll cost you $72 for 50 cents.
Start it over. I'm going to go 1, 6 with 2, 3, 4, with 5, 8, 9, 10, with 6, 11, with 1, 4, 6, $72 for myself. Same price, a little different structure. You went with a single, but I get why you did that. That's our ticket. Question from Penn State Scott. Will we do 2 pick 5 shows next week for both Breeders' Cup days? If so, earlier in the week. That's tough to answer because I think that's something I'm going to have to talk about with our schedules next week. I'm on air 6 days next week. They draw Monday for both cards. What's today? The 24th. Let me look.
Yeah, I'm fairly busy next week as well. I will say this, Penn State, Scott. There's going to be 2 VSiN at the tracks next week, and the first
Okay.
one is on Tuesday, the 28th, and that will cover the 5 races on Friday, the 5 Breeders' Cup races, and the second is on Thursday, covering 5 of the races on the Saturday card. So it may not be the exact pick 5 on Saturday, but we're covering literally the 5 Breeders' Cup races that make up the pick 5 on Tuesday. So make sure you check out that VSiN at the track Tuesday episode if you want to get the Friday card, and that is earlier in the week there for you. So that one kind of works out well. And then Magic and I mean, we'll do a show, obviously, at least one. I don't know. We'll have to figure out if 2 is even plausible with our schedules next week. Both going to be very, very busy. And then I'm guessing we'll probably do a Saturday show, and we'll do it either Thursday or Friday or something when it works. So my pick 5 will essentially, you'll be able to garner who I like from that Tuesday show there with VSiN at the track.
Yeah, I would say not that I wouldn't want to do it. I just don't think that I would have the time to do both. So especially knowing you're going to be covering the Friday races on VSiN at the track, subscribe to that Mike's podcast that he does. It's fantastic, and it gives a lot more insight. If you like listening to this show, it's just more of Mike Somich talking horses and what could be wrong with that. So we'll probably do a Saturday show next week at some point. So not that I don't want to. It's just 6 days a week on there with all the Breeders' Cup coverage we're doing. And this is a great question that he has a follow-up. Is it interesting for David Aragona to make the lines for a non-New York track? It's interesting. I think it's smart.
Yeah, I think Aragona is one of the better morning line makers we've got in the U.S. right now. So when he wants to do more work, I am willing to have him do it. Who else would you pick, I guess, was my question.
Nobody. That would be my pick. I think he's the best going right now. I'd pick John White, but he retired and does not want to come out of retirement.
Yep. So to me, I agree. I think this is a very good choice. Horse racing making bad choices. I think this is a very good choice. Before we go, Magic, did you see the lawsuit that was filed today?
Oh no! What now?
This is going to be an interesting one. Class action lawsuit against CDI, Stronach Group, the Elite Turf Club, and Velocity, as well as NYRA in the New York South District of New York. So basically a class action lawsuit by players against the CAWs and the ownership groups behind them.
Wow!
Live reaction there is worth the wait there. Yeah. So Ray Pollock wrote an article about it. If anyone wants to read about it, head over to Ray Pollock on Twitter. You can catch it there. But yeah, there is a class action lawsuit by horse players against major ownership groups and racetracks that have a part or piece of the cause.
Oh boy, we'll see how that goes.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if it gets if the political power of some of these places squash it. If it gets to Discovery, that will be fascinating. If we actually ever comes to the light of day, Discovery is going to be fun. If we get there, it will be very, very interesting. But I would, with all of the discussion around cause that have been going on in the horse racing world, very interesting turn of events there that we actually have a legal action by horse players against specifically the racetracks that own a piece of the companies that are supporting the CAWs.
Yeah, there's a lot of non-sexual incest that happens in the sport of horse racing. So, let's at least get it to Discovery. Get it to Discovery. That's kind of what I want to see happen here.
Just to see how deep it goes. That to me is the most interesting part of this. How big are the advantages they are getting? What advantages are they actually getting?
I don't think it'll get to Discovery. I think that they'll try and squash it to get, as much as they can. And if it starts to progress where it looks like we might go to Discovery, then I think there's a settlement, because I think that they will do everything they can to avoid Discovery for the very reasons we all want it to happen. You want it to happen too, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting. Do you think they have a chance at winning?
No.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We'll just put it that way. Does this change anything? Maybe. I think there's a better chance that it somehow changes the way that these CAWs are handled than it is the lawsuit is a W.
I wonder if HISA has the ability to set a precedent that all tracks have to shut off CAW wagering 5 minutes to post. I think 2 minutes to post is a good start, but that also only gives you a minute and a half to adjust your bets if you're playing race by race. I think a 5-minute limit is better, because that gives us a final chance to go, okay, here's the final odds. We know what we're likely going to get here and leave it at that.
Well, I know that I believe it's a senator from Kentucky is talking
Damon Thayer.
about legislation against CAWs. So I think that the way that they actually get pushed out of all of this is legislation. Is like or a senator putting something up. And the funny part is, like, if a senator put up legislation against CAWs, it would get through. Like, no one cares in the government. No one gives a shit about this. So I think it'd be awfully interesting if that's the route that this goes. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. But I thought that was at least interesting that lawsuit was filed today, and I thought it's relevant enough for us to at least mention it.
If we could ever have a legitimate commissioner of horse racing, I'd want it to be Damon Thayer. He's done tremendous work. If you look at the tracks in Kentucky, why they all have ridiculously high purses because of the casino revenue, he's a big reason for it. First, getting the decoupling, their first attempt at decoupling Gulfstream Park getting squashed, it's because specifically Damon Thayer got involved. So he's if you agree with his overall political stance or not for the sport of horse racing, forget the billionaires that bitch at each other on Twitter all the time. Damon Thayer is what saves us.
Yeah, he also Kentucky also the first state to go away from breakage as well. So penny breakage versus dime breakage, which makes a big difference for horse players, even though it doesn't seem like it. It's not a lot of money, but over the long haul, makes a huge difference. Rapoli just needs to buy all the tracks. Like, let's just go. Like, just
instead of buying failed football leagues.
Yeah, just buy CDI, buy NYRA, buy Stronach Group, and create a real horse racing league. I'm in. I'll join. I'm sure that we could find a couple rides that we could point out to as the class action lawsuit.
Don't bash the bell curve.
I love the bell curve. I don't actually hate any jockeys. I just will refuse to bet certain ones, and they frustrate me.
Final word, just check out the Breeders' Cup betting Bible. It's available for pre-order on the Racing Dudes website, racingdudes.com. And once you do that, you can also get for free, included with it, the 14 trends to know, one major trend for each of the 14 Breeders' Cup World Championship races set for Friday, October 31st, and Saturday, November 1st at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. I will be on FanDuel TV every day except for Thursday next week, 9 to 12 on the weekends, and then 12 to 3 each of the weekdays. And then I'm covering 9 to 12 on Friday and Saturday of the Breeders' Cup. So it's like the Players' Show. It's basically a way for us to help promote the FanDuel app and everything like that, because the Breeders' Cup races won't have started by that point. So that's for me. Kind of boring, but it is what it is. Mike, how about you? You talked about VSiN at the track. Remind us again what days that is, and especially with the Breeders' Cup coming up.
Yeah, VSiN at the track. It's going to be Tuesday and Thursday episodes next week, as well as a long shots episode that will drop separately. So favorite long shots that we have in the other races, and and then we're also going to have some interviews that drop as well. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast VSiN at the track wherever you get your podcast via either Spotify, Apple, wherever, at VSiN Live on YouTube. There's going to be live videos as well, as if you want to go out and check those and subscribe there. We've got Sharp Money. If you're betting the NFL, if you're betting baseball, make sure you check that out. That's every Sunday and Thursday, Sharp Money on Apple and Spotify as well. And then going to be live for Ready, Set, Bet on Saturday and Sunday from 3 to 7 on Saturday Pacific, 1 to 4 on Sunday. If you want pure cinema, I am in Breeders' Cup Betting Classic. So I'm in BC, and I will be live on the air as it ends. So if I'm in contention, I will be trying to play a tournament for $500,000 while also being live on air. That could be fun. So make sure you check that out as well.
If you thought Mike was distracted doing the Magic Mike show and having some random race going off at Keeneland, just wait till he's in the BC and you shove $20,000 in what is the last race going to be, the sprint?
No, it's not this. It's the Philly Mare Turf this year.
Oh, that's an easy one. Bet the French horse.
Yeah.
Zora. That's an easy one.
Well, it is if you are trying to double up. It's very different if you need to hit like an 80-1 triple. So yeah, we'll see how that all goes. But it's going to be awfully interesting being on air during the end of that tournament if I'm fortunate enough to be live.
We appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, whether you're joining us live or on the podcast form, and we'll be back next week for Breeders' Cup coverage. Until then, follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He's at SummerBomb 18, number 1, number 8. Both kids are now invading the TV show, so it's time for us to get. You want to wave and say hi?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, hundreds of people. We'll just saw you on TV there, Colson. Yeah, you're excited.
You're basically famous, Colson.
You're basically famous. All right, I got to get out of here. Getting run over by Rugrats. Until next time, I'm Magic.
Me and Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.